Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. My name is Garrett Sims. Welcome back to the podcast. Got a fun Tuesday for you. Really excited for that. It's a nice day out. I'm about to go work out here in about after this is over. So, really interesting. Don't really have a lot to truly talk about in my intro, but we're going to start with a new thing that I came up with, and it's a new segment that I'm really excited about. It's called List 'em Up, and basically how this works is I pick something that kind of goes along with our topic every day. Sometimes I'll just spin a wheel and see what it lands on, and I'll give you my top 5 or worst 5. Most of the time, top 5s will fall on Tuesday, worst 5s will fall on Thursday, and the topic I wanted to do today is top 5 video games that I have ever played. And this one's really tough because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put myself on the spot. But it's really interesting because there's so many good video games, and I'm only going to go off the ones that I have ever played. And, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, this is a good game, never played it before, or say it's a bad game and never played it before. But at number 5, I'm going to have to put Madden. That goes with generally all Maddens, because you can make a Madden list all by yourself. The reason I don't like Madden is because I don't feel like it's necessarily fun. I think, sometimes it's a little bit too competitive. I find myself, being too competitive and not enjoying it. But, it's one of those games that's beloved. I wish they would upgrade it a little bit. I wish they would fix the franchise. I wish that they would fix a lot of things that it seems like they've just neglected over the years. The graphics are getting better, but I think that they could be a lot better because there's a lot of different video games that have 20 times better graphics than Madden does. Number 4 on my list is MLB The Show. I love MLB The Show. It's one of my favorite sports games that I've ever played. The attention to detail that they do is just tremendous. They got great graphics. Their Diamond Dynasty is truly fun. I don't necessarily like that when I play online I have to play 9-inning games. And I think it's in Diamond Dynasty, when you play online with Diamond Dynasty, you have to play 9 innings, which I wish they'd fix that. I wish you could play like 3 or 9 or 7. I wish you could adjust it. That'd be a little bit better. But, they just spend so much time on the graphics. They make the game truly incredible to play. One of my favorite parts of it is Road to the Show. I think they do a phenomenal job with making it feel like the character that you've created is, has to work his way up. Like, you don't get this automatic call up to the big leagues. You actually have to work your way up, which sometimes can suck, but sometimes is actually a lot of fun. Especially if you're a little bit rusty and you're starting a new road to the show, you can work your way up in the minors. And one of the things they do that I absolutely love is you can transfer that road to the show year to year. That's why I love it. That's why it's one of my favorite games that I have ever played. In number 3, this one's a little bit of a shocker because I'm not a big Call of Duty person. I'm really not, but there was one game that I just loved so much that it's one of my favorite Call of Duty games. This is why I'm going to put it at 3. I love World War. I love learning about it. I love learning the history of it. So Call of Duty World War II, it was one of my absolutely favorite games, and that's why I have it ranked so high. It's one of those ones that can make it or break it for me, but they brought in one of my favorite actors that I enjoyed watching as a kid, especially in the Transformers movies. Josh Duhamel, he actually played, I think, one of the generals. And, I don't know how incredibly historically accurate it was, but you started off on D-Day and you led up kind of to the finish. And I really just love that game. The graphics were amazing. It was a super fun game to play. So that's why it's so high. Okay, number 2, there's going to be a tie at number 1. I'm just going to tell you that in advance. Number 2 is Fortnite. A lot of people will probably give me a lot of, head shakes for that, but it's such a transcendent game, and it was one of the games that You sit back and you look at it, and its greatness, it has been immortalized. It wasn't the first Battle Royale game, but if you look at a lot of the Battle Royale games that are popular now, Fortnite implemented a lot of that stuff first, and I find myself liking it. I think it's one of those games, especially now versus back then, that you could just sit down, enjoy, play a couple matches, and enjoy each match, and I think you have even more of a chance at winning nowadays than you do back then. I think you can get on a game and make top 10 pretty easily as long as you're pretty solid at the game. That's why it's number 2. Number 1, man, and this is so hard because these are two of my favorite games and they have totally different reasons, and it's just so hard to say that one's better than the other. They're both made by the same company, so that makes it even harder for me to decide. If anybody has any guesses, you're probably right. My number 1 is GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2. I never played Red Dead Redemption 1, but I feel like if I did, it would go up there with those two. I've watched a lot of reviews and gameplay of it, and I can't wait till they remaster it. I really hope they remaster it for maybe like the PS4 eventually or the PS5. I think that'd be super awesome. The reason I have these tied is because they're very similar. Very similar games. See, can't even speak, but they're very close in the fact of, obviously the storylines are a little bit different, but you have a story mode and you have an online, and that online mode is just transcendent. GTA still makes lots of money from GTA 5, and that was one of the deals. They said that they're not going to try to come out with GTA 6 just yet because of how much money GTA 5 makes. And I can't tell you the memories I have of playing GTA. I've been playing GTA 5 in particular since it came out. I actually had my mom. That was like my one birthday present I asked for when I'm trying to think. It was in 2013 is when it first came out. I think I got it in 14, so I got it a little bit after. But I obviously wasn't 18, so I could go get it. But I just remember playing the story mode, having such a fun time playing the story mode. And then when online came out, playing online, meeting new people, and me, my friend Josie, and Jackson, my cousin Briley, we would play GTA Online all the time, and we just found it so fun. And there's a lot of memories and nostalgia I have anytime I get on GTA Online because I just remember how fun it is. Now I'm going to flip over. I'm going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. The story mode on that is so good. And it's probably the single best story that I've ever played. And I rarely play the online because I think I like GTA Online more than I do Red Dead's. But Red Dead's story is 20 times better than GTA's. And the graphics are amazing. The things you can do, like you can literally hunt for animals. You could play Red Dead Redemption, I would say, for a very long time and never get truly bored with it. The only knock I ever have on it is that it's not like GTA. Like, to get from the bottom of the map to the top of the map doesn't really take very long. It takes long because it's a far ways to go, but it doesn't really take very long. If you went from a far point here to there in Red Dead, it takes forever because you're on a horse and the horse runs out of stamina and all that fun stuff. But those are my top 5 video games, and you're probably asking, okay, you said, how's this going to incorporate into what we're going to talk about? Well, we'll get in that later. We're going to talk about some sports first. I finally have a name for the segment. I had to think a little bit there of what I wanted to necessarily do. And it's going to be called Waiter Sports Please. That's what we're going to call our sports segment because we are a podcast. We don't just do sports. We do other fun things. And I just thought it would be fun to say, Waiter Sports Please. There's a lot of things that are happening right now. Dak Prescott got his deal done yesterday. And it's about $40 million. He's going to be making $75 million within the first year. I think it's a 4-year, $160 million contract. If you ask me, I think the length is right, but I think the money is just a little bit too much. I think they might be just overpaying just a little bit too much. I think Dak's a very good quarterback, but if you ask me, I've always been a Carson Wentz guy. And I know Carson Wentz has had a bad year, but I really don't blame that on Wentz. I blame that on the Eagles not getting him enough weapons and surrounding him with the right people. Okay, but we go back, and Jerry Jones has had a habit of spending a little bit too much money, it seems like, on players. I mean, Zeke got a pretty decent deal, and he had a bad year last year, and I think part of that bad year has to do with Dak Prescott not being there. I think when you have Andy Dalton, I think the pass game threat kind of goes out the window, so people start worrying about Zeke just a little bit more. I think Zeke will be fine. But we look at Jerry Jones, who's had a habit of spending a lot of money on players, Jalen Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence and Ezekiel Elliott, and now you're starting to see, they're spending a lot of money for Dak, and which isn't bad, because they needed to get Dak back. I still think they overpaid. That's what I'll think. But if you look at it, I mean, the Cowboys need him. They need to address some stuff on defense. And I think you have to address that by going in with a little bit of open-mindedness about DeMarcus Lawrence or about Jalen Smith or about Leighton Vander Esch. I think you really have to take a look at that defense and say, listen, what's our problems here? Because they got to fix that. I think their offense is pretty good. I think they could stand to trade away Gallup, get some defensive prospects out of it, maybe get some draft picks, which they can use towards the defensive side of the ball, but I think that's something they truly need to address because their defense was awful. To even be in the race last year in the NFC, it wasn't a very hard race. Everybody just kind of sucked. But to even be in that and to be a couple games away is just amazing for how bad that team really was without Dak Prescott. So, glad for the guy. Truly deserved a new contract. I don't know if he deserved that much. I think it's the second richest contract in NFL history, which is insane. And he's getting paid for a quarterback the second most, with Patrick Mahomes being highest paid. I think Patrick Mahomes is about annually 45. Dak Prescott's making 40. So let that tell you what it is. But there's that. I talked about Russell Wilson yesterday. I think it's really interesting. I said you got to keep your open-mindedness, okay? But, you have to really feel like you're getting a haul. And I feel that both with Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, you have to be getting a haul in order to say, listen, this is a really good deal. And I just don't think there's any trade that could value what Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson mean to their respective organizations. I think that's 100% truthful. I know their situations aren't the greatest right now, but I think they're fixable situations. And that's all I want to speak about it because we talk about it a lot. Everybody's talking about, that's the one thing everybody is talking about is Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, because that's the biggest stories right now. People are kind of reaching for those stories. Bucks franchise tag Chris Godwin, which I thought was really interesting of a move. Godwin's a great wide receiver, and it just proves to show you that they're really trying to. I know they don't like the term run it back. They're trying to win a second Super Bowl. Tom Brady's in the works of restructuring his deal, to kind of keep that team together and win championships. And, I think we all know how hard it is to win back-to-back championships. It's something that's really hard to do. They're going to face their struggles, and they're going to have to learn and adapt and overcome. Right now their big deal is they have quite a few players right now that are going to hit the free agency, and they don't have enough cap room to keep all of them. So their general manager is going to have to do a great job of making sure which ones to keep and which ones not to, and obviously they prioritize that by franchise tagging Chris Godwin. Flip that to a team in their division, the Chicago Bears. They did franchise tag Allen Robinson. That's not very surprising to me. I think what they want to do is they want to keep him there one more year, prove to him, listen, we're going to get you a quarterback. We're going to get you somebody so we can be contenders because that defense is good enough to win a Super Bowl. I think truly if they could just get a quarterback, I think that team could go up against Tampa Bay. No problem. That's on that. There was a trade today that happened early in the morning. Trent Brown, the tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders, went back to the Patriots. He was with the Patriots in 2018, got traded over to the Raiders. Well, now he's back with the Patriots. Made a series of tweets saying it's not fun when you're not happy and all those types of deals, just kind of saying how bad, really things are in the Raiders organization. That doesn't surprise me. There's a reason that you start off very good and end very bad. And that's just because, not that there's dysfunction, but maybe that John Gruden is the right guy. I kind of started thinking of this narrative that John Gruden's really not a great head coach. He had a couple good years with the Raiders, obviously, in his first stint. He went to a very stacked Tampa Bay team, won a Super Bowl, and now they kind of want him back. And you're starting to see now that the team isn't really as stacked, and it's not a bad team, but it's just not super stacked. Like, they don't have a lot of players that just eye pops out at you, and he's just not good with them. So I think that kind of creates a narrative for me that, John Gruden really isn't as great a head coach as what they say he is. So, as for that, Waiter Sports Please. That's that segment. The main segment of every show is now going to be called Sims' Spotlight. And basically what this is this is going to kind of put the spotlight on something that I want to talk about. The main issue, the main topic for what we want to talk about. And I said list them up was going to kind of correlate with this earlier. And that's just because I was thinking, and I was playing Madden today, I was playing Fortnite last night, how much, the gaming world has changed over this past year because, as you guys know, I like to consider March 13th the day that the world basically stops. And we're a couple days away from that. I think that's going to happen Saturday. And basically for me, a year since COVID truly started. That's what I'm going to consider that. And that's coming up. And you really look back at how video games have helped kind of bring out the... I'm trying to phrase this the right way. How they've brought out some positives during this terrible pandemic. And one of those is, we all know what happened when everything shut down. Like, everything was kind of at a standstill. Nobody really knew where to go. And I think gaming was kind of already climbing the ranks in popularity as it was with people like Ninja and Twitch and, Laserbeam and those type of guys. So gaming was already kind of at the climbing up that little popularity contest. But this pandemic just helped it reach new heights because there was no basketball to watch anymore. The NBA was cut at a standstill. Baseball was delayed. We didn't know if we'd have a football season. And we didn't know when we would finish the basketball season. And so people started turning to the gaming world. Started turning to YouTube. Things like that to watch gaming. Go to Twitch, watch gaming. Go to Mixer, watch gaming. Go to YouTube. Somebody's streaming something, let's watch it. And we have just seen an explosion of the esport world just boom, right in our face. And I think that's very interesting because, not only can you watch football, can you watch the NFL, can you watch college football, can you watch high school football, but for the people who can't make the cut of playing football, they can play Madden, and they're really great in Madden. You see people who may not be talented at a lot of things, be talented at Call of Duty, talented at Fortnite, and just take off because they're super, super good. And I think it's amazing. And, I just kind of want to shine a spotlight on that because that's a big reason. I thought about, like, we truly didn't realize it. Like, a lot of people were inside just playing video games because there wasn't anything else to do. And it was just great for a lot of people to give somebody entertainment, to reach out and get some entertainment. You had NFL stars playing Madden against each other to kind of fill that void of competition. I know NBA did it with 2K. They had a lot of celebrities and a lot of athletes playing like these 2K tournaments. I know the MLB The Show did when they didn't know if there would really be baseball or not. They did a whole player from each team would compete as their team in this tournament and fun stuff like that. I thought it was hilarious because the guy that competed for my Royals, was a guy I liked. His nickname was Maverick Phillips. I think it was Brett Phillips. And I don't know how good he was. I didn't actually watch the tournament, but it was funny because he was the guy that played for the Royals and then in that tournament, and then later gets traded about a little bit later. But I just thought that was incredibly funny. And, you know, and you just see it. There's more people buying gaming PCs. There's more people. Look at where we're at with the PS5s and the Xboxes right now. Like, there's literally a shortage of them because that's just where gaming's going. Everybody's looking for this new innovation that's just going to change the world of gaming, change the world of streamers. I was at Best Buy the one day and I seen it's like a little pad with some buttons, and you can set those buttons to do a function basically for streams. And it's just crazy to me how we've seen that increase and how it's increased so fast and so rapidly. And I'm thankful for it because I think it's really cool. I like it a lot. There's probably a bunch of people who are like, kids were already having problems getting off the video games. Now that just gives them even more reason to be playing video games longer. But that is what it is. That's Sims' Spotlight for the day. Last but not least, you guys know what this is, critical thinking. This is mainly going to be to wrap everything up, kind of to go with everything. And with that being said, it sometimes could be a question, it sometimes could be a statement, it could be a thought that I have that's just something to think a little bit on. And really what I was thinking is we were talking about e-games today, really, who do you think has changed the streaming / e-game world the most? Because there's a lot of people you could argue that did. Obviously, a good comparison to this would be Steph Curry changed the game of basketball. Way more people are trying to shoot threes than ever before, and that's because of Steph coming in the league and being a three-point shooter. So, switch that up. Who is the Steph Curry equivalent to the world of esports and e-gaming? Because that's what I'm curious. If I had to give an answer, I think it's Ninja. I think he changed the game when it came to... He played Fortnite. He was really good at it. He kind of not sold himself out in a bad way, but just put himself out there, was signing deals. He still got his deal with Red Bull, then was signing deals with Twitch, then went over to Mixer and said, guess what, you breached my contract. Now we're going to go sign for even more money with Twitch. I think if I had to name like a founding father of the change in esports, he would be up there on my list. So as for that, think about that. That's our critical thinking. This has been the show today. I'm very excited. I got a couple more segments that I want to unveil in the next upcoming days, and these will be, you'll see them a lot. I'd like to keep adding to them. So as for that, guys, have a fantastic Tuesday. Be safe out there. Have fun, and get ready for spring break. As for that, I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. I don't know yet. I'll have to decide on that.